We're on Plattsburgh Air Force Base, the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, again for another chapter in the redevelopment, and looking forward to the history and see what this wonderful property is going to become down the road sometime. We were on the base in real time yesterday talking with the people at PARC, and we'll be making another tour today to visit some of the businesses that have chosen to establish themselves here on this great property in the North Country. But we came upstairs into a wonderfully air-conditioned office on one of the hottest days, they told us, in about 3 years to talk to John Haru. I should have known you'd be up here in the corner, John. How are you doing?
Doing just fine, Corey.
John is the site manager. That's the official title, right, John?
Right. I work for the Air Force Base Conversion Agency, and we are the official landlords of the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. As you know, the property still belongs to the Air Force, and we have personal property, equipment, and all the facilities, and so we're here to act as a landlord.
You've been around here for a long time, right? Give me a little bit of your background.
Well, I was assigned to Plattsburgh Air Force Base in 1955. I was a member of the...
A long time. I wasn't kidding.
Civil Engineering Squadron, and I've been here ever since, except for a 4-year tour with the city of Plattsburgh.
So now, what does your job entail?
Well, we're here to oversee the management and maintenance of the property. We oversee the caretaker agreement that we have with the park people to cut the grass and maintain the buildings and keep the water, electricity, sewer services going. And when PARC requires a building to lease for jobs or whatever purpose, then we provide the paperwork through our Washington office. We do the work here and then send it down for approval in Washington so that PARC can sublease or use these facilities for whatever they desire.
Keeping this place looking like it does is not a small task.
No, it's quite a task, although the workforce is a lot smaller than when the Air Force was here, because
I would say so.
The maintenance level is less, and we just don't have the number of people here anymore. The other thing that we're here to do is to continue the environmental cleanup, and as you know, that's progressing quite rapidly, and we should be completed with that this year.
So let's move up to the International Air Show, which was held recently on that wonderful flight line. Every time I go out there, I'm amazed at the size, and even with thousands of people there, there's just acres and acres and acres of concrete. Now, you were involved in that process through the legal aspect of it, right?
That's correct. While we didn't actually have to do any preparatory work in terms of getting facilities in that, what we did was support PARC in their lease. We gave them in this case, when it's for a temporary use and not for the whole facility, we do what we call a license. So the license covered a 2-week period so that they could prepare the airfield and facilities that they needed to put this air show on. And I'll tell you, it sort of brings back a lot of little heartthrobs.
It makes it palpitate, doesn't it?
Those airplanes the sound of jets was really nice.
Well, when you came here in 1955, and I was graduating from high school and working to pour cement out here, that was the very beginning.
Yes, it was. In 55, the base was still under construction at that time. The runway was just completed, and there were still holes on the ramp where they were finishing it up.
Where'd you come here from?
I was born and raised in Upper Michigan, Hancock and Houghton, Michigan.
Who would ever guess that the Harus would end up in Plattsburgh, New York? I bet you never did.
No, I didn't. It was sort of when I joined the Air Force and went through pilot training and into civil engineering, the assignment basis changed. I was going to Loring, and then I was going to Pease, and I ended up in Plattsburgh. And actually, I was very happy because I had been through Sampson Air Force Base, which is in Geneva, New York, and I thought New York State was a very nice state, and I'd love to come back, and my wish came true.
You know, and how many people do you know, and how many people do I know who came back here after they retired because they liked their duty here?
Oh, I think there's a lot of people here that I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say that a lot of retirees came back. A lot of people never left.
Yeah, that's true. And there are a lot worse places. I've said this 1,000 times. A lot worse places to raise a family.
Oh, it's a great place.
Good
Great
school
place.
systems.
Great place. I had 3 sons who went through every school in Plattsburgh.
Well, I know. We were in a few sports arenas with your kids and my kids.
Right.
That wasn't yesterday either, John.
No, that's a few years ago now.
I don't even mind admitting it. They're all grown up. Where are your kids now?
The youngest, David, is still home. He lives in Plattsburgh. One is in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and one is in Chico, California.
That's a new one on me.
Yeah, that's north of Sacramento.
Oh, great. Well, John, we didn't mean to interrupt your busy schedule here, but we wanted to say hello and touch base with you, and we wanted you to know we can find you if we need you up here. How long do you think you're going to be sitting in that chair? Do you have any idea?
I think if things progress with the Clinton County IDA being eligible to take the property, that we'll be out of here within a year or 2 years.
You feel as like you'd like to take an extended fishing trip?
Oh yes, no, I'm ready to. I'm ready.
Any day starting Monday morning, right?
Well, I have to wait till August. That way, I have my 40 years in August, so I'll wait till then.
I would say that's a pretty good plan. John, thanks so much for allowing us to stop by for a minute.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I told you when we began this program today, we're going to take a little tour of the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. Different from many of the tours you might have seen, because today we're going to be interviewing the people connected with a lot of the businesses who've chosen to come to Plattsburgh Air Force Base and make it their home, and we hope this is part of a great future. When we talked with Dan Weinecke yesterday at PARC, he gladly gave up one of his right-hand people to be with us for this tour today, J.C. Marshall, working as an intern for the 2nd year. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
Great to have you here. I understand you were lived in Champlain. How did you were born and brought up there? Or?
Yes, I was born in Montreal, and my family lives in Champlain.
And then you went to McGill.
Yep. 2 years ago, I left Seton Catholic down here in Plattsburgh and got accepted to McGill University.
How did you get connected with this place?
Well, they needed somebody to run around and do things for them during the summer, and I said 2 years ago I was looking for a job, and I got it. And they asked me back this year, and here I am.
That's terrific. And you're going to bring us around here today. We talked with John Haru just a few minutes ago in our program because he's the site manager for the Air Force. But it is amazing how good they keep this place looking, isn't it?
Takes a lot of people and lots of work, but yeah, they do a very good job.
And for our little tour today, you've selected a few, right? Maybe about 5 or 6 or so of the relatively new facilities here. And this one is SMC Transit International, right?
Right. I'm going to take you to Wood Group. They are down at the engine test cell. They rebuild engines. Take you to the Humane Society, who's still setting up out here with their dogs. Take you out to Vapor, pneumatic company, and anywhere else that we can show you around. To the new test track for Bombardier.
Oh yeah, we saw that when we came in for the International Air Show last weekend.
Yep, that's actually, you just saw the end of it. The main part is on the other side of the base, where they'll be setting up their siding for the testing.
That's terrific. Things are looking up on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, and we're going to take a look inside in just a minute, right?
Right.
Let's do that. I promised you we're now inside the building. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
And the last name is Buzza?
Buzza.
How do you spell that?
B-U-Z-Z-A.
I'm going to ask you where it comes from. Where does...
It's Polish.
Why are you laughing? That's a great name. That's wonderful. How did you get connected with this organization?
Actually, I found the job over the internet.
Isn't that the way it happens today?
Mm-hmm, sure.
And you've been here?
A year and a half.
Terrific. Now, we're just making a little tour of the facilities today to try to find out what these businesses are doing here. So explain what happens here.
Actually, we assemble door system components for high-speed railway trains.
Are you connected in any way with Bombardier, or is that
Actually, we're a supplier to them.
terrific? So that's all you do is make those here, or
We assemble those here, yes.
can you show us a little bit of what goes on? Just kind of a
Sure.
walk for a second, sure.
Okay,
Just-
come this way.
Okay, we're on our way. Carrie thought I was going to ask her hard questions. That'll never happen. I'm not smart enough to ask hard questions. This is a door.
Yes, and that's the system up top that we assemble, and the items down here,
Now,
as long as the control as well as the control panel.
it looks very complicated.
Yes.
Are any of the workmen here from this area, or did the company bring their own people with them? Or
No, mostly all the workers are from this area.
except for you, you're from New
From New
Jersey.
Jersey, yes.
Where in New Jersey?
Central New Jersey,
What's the name of the place?
North Brunswick.
Oh, I know where that is very well. But how did you end up in Plattsburgh? You found it on the internet and came here.
Well, yeah, and my husband's a pilot for US Air Express, so we came up here.
Doesn't that make perfect sense
that
then?
does.
That's absolutely true. Did you make it to the air show last weekend?
No, I did not.
Saw some of the planes flying overhead. You
Yes,
hear
I did.
plane
I
talk
heard
all the
yeah,
time.
So we decided not to come because I hear too much of it at home.
How many people work here? Do you know offhand, Carrie?
About 21.
That's amazing.
We started with 8, and now we're up to 21, so we're growing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized building too.
Mm-hmm. It's quite large. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you put these doors together, do you ship them away from here? Do you deliver them right over to Bombardier, or how does that work?
Oh no, some get delivered locally, others are shipped away.
Because Bombardier is a huge organization, and they're building things all over the country, not just here in Plattsburgh, New York.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
So you like your job here,
Oh yeah, I love it. It's a nice place to work.
especially in the summertime when it finally gets up to 90 degrees.
I know, yeah.
But then the job isn't nearly as much fun as it is when it's about 4 o'clock or whatever time you quit.
4:30 when we get to go home.
Yeah, where do you guys live?
I live over in Morrisonville.
Do you really? So do I, right
Do you?
next to the fire station. Where do
Oh,
you
really?
live?
I live on Mason Street.
Not too far away.
Mm-mm.
If I see a streak going by my place tonight heading for the river, I'll know it's Carrie. What's your husband's name?
Scott.
Did he get a little bit of his background? Did he start flying here or where?
No, actually, he started flying in Pittsburgh, and then he went to school in Florida, and then we went back to Pittsburgh, and now we're in Plattsburgh.
That's great. There are a lot worse places, as I've said at least twice on this program today, a lot worse places to live, especially this time of year.
Yeah, this is a nice area. It's beautiful here in the summertime. I could do without the snow, though, but the summer's beautiful.
All right. Carrie, thanks so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
There won't be any tracks or a platform on the other side of that door because this is just a test setup, right, Carrie?
Yes, that's where they do the endurance test.
And they do it over and over
and over again, constantly.
Is that all monitored by and registered by a computer, or
Yes, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
That's decent. So you not only manufacture this kind of door, but the glass doors as well?
Yeah, we actually do the systems, the door system component that actually opens and closes the door.
Yeah, I didn't even ask you when we came in. What is your job here?
I am the accountant / human resources coordinator. Ooh. I wear many hats.
As most people do in an organization this
sure.
size. So in your year and a half here, you learned a great deal.
Oh,
right?
yes, and I learn something new every day.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to college in Florida.
Ooh.
At Florida Tech down in Melbourne, Florida.
Right, and I'm sure.
I studied finance down there, and that's where I met Scott, my husband, and
Then the rest is just a perfect love story.
yes.
Well, that's great. I know Calvin can watch that door open and close all day, but we got places to go, things to do. Again, Carrie, thanks so much for letting us into your life for a few minutes. Best of everything with everything you do.
Thank you very much.
There are those who would say this program called Our Little Corner often goes to the dogs, but we're going to do it literally today as we continue our tour of what's happening with the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. And we're in what's going to be a tremendous facility for animals that's being run by some of my favorite people in the whole world belonging to the Adirondack Humane Society, formerly the League for the Control and Protection of Animals. Yeah, James will go and answer that, right? Allison, right?
Right.
Kennedy, how
Yep.
are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for coming and visiting us today. And we're looking forward to showing you what we're going to be doing in the next few months.
Well, you told me before you ever came out here that you guys were excited. You have to remember, for some of our viewers that may not be familiar, the Adirondack Humane Society, League for the Control and Protection of Animals, has been around for quite a while.
It has. It's been around for approximately 13 years. We've been working very hard to provide animal programs for the community, and we're looking very forward to it because now we're going to be providing the community with an animal shelter. And with it brings a lot of excitement for us because we are going to be helping the community not only keep their pets, but to also educate them and provide services that they need to keep their pets.
We had a lot of high-level meetings last summer and fall trying to decide what direction this organization wants to go in. It tried so hard to raise lots and lots of money for a shelter, had some property in Peru. Where do we go? What do we do? What should our image be? What should our philosophy be? Well, boy, when a facility like this comes along, it helps to gel some of those plans, doesn't it?
It does. What we're hoping to do with this, we do have land in Peru. That is going to be something that we're going to be looking into the future of building a facility on there. But at this point, PARC has been wonderful to work out a reasonable program with us that we're going to be able to use the old Canine Security Unit, and it is a ready-made building for us. We already have kennels. We will be purchasing cat cages to put in here, and we're going to start here, and we're going to build from here, and we're just going to see where this program goes, and we're looking forward to big results.
We're visiting here on July 15th. I have to mention that because the show is not live. It's aired later. You have come a long ways. You've been doing some massive work here.
Here at the shelter, do you mean?
Yes, I do
Oh,
mean here.
yes. We've been very busy trying to get everything together, getting our policies and procedures in place, trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen here when the animals come in, promoting it. We're working right now and we're going to have a free rabies clinic at our grand opening, which will be Friday, August 7th at 2 p.m. We're going to have a grand opening. And then on Saturday, we're going to have a flea dip and a free rabies clinic for anybody in the community that needs to have their animals vaccinated. And we're hoping everybody comes out to see what's going on here.
Let's just give people who may not be familiar with the Adirondack Humane Society an overview about what some of the aims and goals are and what you've done up to this point in time.
Well, I'm the wrong person to talk to about that because I'm not the executive director, and she's lucky she's on vacation this week.
Carol?
Yes, Carol
Carol
Slacken is our
Slacken.
executive director, and she is wonderful. And that's something you're going to have to talk with her. Here at the shelter, what we want to do is we want to promote humane care for the animals. Again, like I said before, we want to help the people keep their animals in their own homes. We will provide the tools for them to keep them. If they have to turn them over to us, we are going to do the best to find them permanent homes.
The organization began as just kind of a unique idea because somebody thought there was a need. It actually began at a round table in the studios of the radio station I worked at many years ago, where somebody said we should start something like that.
That's right.
And it grew from there and became a clearinghouse for companions, animal companions as we called them. And there, the pet page in the Press Republican became very famous. The LCPA program on that radio station became very popular. And as a result, down through the years, thousands and thousands of these companions found new homes.
That's right. Our companion animal placement program is only one of the many programs that we have here at the shelter. We have a pet-assisted therapy program where animals have been specially trained to go out into nursing homes.
We're going to get very involved in that story later on.
Yeah, don't
too.
you have a new animal that you've
Oh,
got?
yes, and we're working toward that.
Yes, he has a wonderful animal that he adopted through this organization. We have other programs. We have a spay-neuter program that helps low-income families spay or neuter their pets. We have now a new program that we're doing with Meals on Wheels, where we assist seniors in feeding their animals for the month. We do education programs where we go into the communities. Whatever we can do to promote good animal care is what we do.
Now, are you going to have a separate telephone here, or will people still be working through the main office, or how's that going to work?
What will happen is if you end up calling the main office and they're going to ask you what you're going to be wanting to do, and if you want to do anything with the animals, they're going to have you call here, and the phone number is 561-PAWS or 7297.
You got to love it. You got to know that this organization also has a thrift shop that's done very well.
That's right. We have Cause for Paws Thrift Shop.
Cause for Paws? You
Yeah,
like that, Calvin?
and
That's
all
cool.
the money that comes from that organization goes here to the animals. We just got a new thrift shop manager who has some really good ideas, so we're looking forward to seeing that, and that is Terry Drake. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I know Terry Drake.
Yep, she's wonderful. So we're looking forward to what she's going to be doing there, and ultimately anybody that goes in there and purchases stuff from the Cause for Paws Thrift Shop benefits the animals because all the proceeds come here.
And there are a lot of very bright, wonderful, compassionate people on that board.
That's right.
Who have tremendous ideas. As I said, I was right in the middle of some of that brainstorming last year, and you could see the sparks fly through the room. People who've been doing nice things for these companion animals for years. And before we leave, I want to underline the fact that the Adirondack Humane Society's purpose is not just to connect these companions with the right homes and futures, but there's a tremendous educational process involved too.
There is. What we are trying to do is educate the community on proper companion animal care. You shouldn't take an animal just because he's cute and cuddly, and that's one of the things that the staff and the volunteers learn here is that we won't allow anybody to take an animal for the first 2 months that they're here because we want them to take it seriously, and anybody that comes here is going to be asked a lot of questions because we want you to make a commitment to this animal. The animals depend on you, and they can't say where they're going to live. You have to make that choice for them and be responsible.
Ultimately, members from this organization will be going into schools, as you've already said, nursing homes, Meals on Wheels, just about anywhere there's a space to set up a soapbox
You're right.
and preach the gospel.
Yep, that's right. And we do have a couple dogs that go with us when we speak into the community. And wherever anybody is willing to have us come and listen, we're going to tell you about what we're doing and what we want to do. And we're getting excited and hope the community gets excited with us.
Well, we're standing in one tiny little ante room here as part of your office. We want to see the rest of it.
You want a tour?
Yeah, will you
So
show us
come on
around?
down. What you're standing in is you're standing in the reception area, and this is where everybody is going to come when they come in to look at an animal. And I'll take you through and kind of show you. We're still waiting for some cat cages, which we're hoping will show up any day. So come on back, I'll show you.
All right, where are we now?
What you're standing in is going to be the cat room. You have to kind of use your imagination a little bit. Like I said, we're still waiting for cat cages, and they're going to go on the back wall. We have 2 large playpens here that we're going to be able to use. We're hoping that we can have cats that'll be getting along, and we're going to have room for approximately 10 cats. If cats get along with one another, we're going to put a couple in a cage, but it'll depend on space and how they get along. So this is the cat room. If you go across, which
Let's
we'll
go.
go across real quick.
Let's go. We'll do it.
What we're in now,
I recognize a
kitchen
washer and
area.
dryer, yeah.
this was donated by a wonderful member of the community. This is going to be our kitchen area and our vet treatment area. We've been able to get some stuff from PARC for furniture, which is really nice, and we got those out of the old veterinary building.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we're looking forward to it. PARC has been really wonderful to us in helping us meet our needs with furniture and stuff. But this will be our vet treatment area and our break room. We will be doing some vet work here. We do have a working relationship with all the area vets, so that's going to be good, and they'll be coming in and helping us do certain things. Ready to see the kennels?
Yeah, but you know, I want to mention before we go that the area veterinarians should be complimented for joining you in so many of your different projects, and this because the spay-neuter program is extremely important. And if we could, anything we can do to add incentive
That's right.
is a plus.
That's right. We couldn't have a spay-neuter program without the veterinarians. We could not have a shelter without the work of the veterinarians because they will be coming in and helping us with animals that are sick, or we have some concerns about animals, and they're going to be coming in and helping us do certain things like that. And we couldn't do it without them, and we appreciate them. And they've been donating a lot of stuff to help us get this program up and running, and we're looking forward to working with them further.
And not just with the spay-neuter program, with part of the educational process, with making sure that the first visit with that new companion animal has a reduced price.
That's right. What'll happen is when they adopt an animal from here, you will get a certificate, so you can go in and see your veterinary, and you will get a discount on your first vet visit. What we will be doing is anybody that adopts from this program here at the shelter, they will be paying approximately between $60 and $80 for an animal. And a lot of people are going to say that's a lot of money. But when you leave here with your animal is going to have a current rabies vaccine, they'll have their first shots, and they'll also be paid to have it spayed or neutered. So you've pretty much had your first year of vet work done, and you save about 50%. And besides, when you adopt from a shelter, you're saving a life, and that's important.
And you're dealing with people who really care. I know you do.
Very much so. It's a passion of mine, and tried for a while to get out of it, and here I am.
Did it, Al?
Nope. It's in my blood, and I'm here, and we are going to do the best we can for the animals in this community and for the people who take care of them.
Just before we go in there, we got to talk to...
Yes, we have to introduce you to my right-hand person, and that's James Dona. He's going to be responsible. His official title is Kennel Assistant, and we are looking forward to building a relationship, which we've kind of decided that we are a team. He will be mainly in charge of cleaning kennels and taking care of the animals. He will take care of things when I can't do them, and we're looking forward to all the good things that you can do here.
Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Where are you from?
From Plattsburgh. Lived here all my life. Was in the military for 5 years.
How did you hook up with Allison?
I saw her plead for help in the paper.
We do beg a lot, don't we?
No, he walked in with the right kind of experience and the right kind of attitude, and I saw a passion in his eyes for animals, and that's what's important here, is you have to have a passion for these animals.
I think you're going to like it here.
Just from the last couple days, I know I'm going to like it here.
You can't wait till it gets opened up and underway, huh?
I'm ecstatic. I can't wait.
Well, tomorrow he's going to find out what it's really like, because we'll be going to Burlington Animal Shelter for the day, and we get to get in the trenches with them, and we're going to work with them at their shelter, so we'll kind of remember what it's like to live an animal shelter life.
This Adirondack Humane Society is not isolated and insulated from the rest of the world. Carol and the rest of the crew have traveled to so many places, looking at so many organizations, and they're not afraid to ask questions.
What's really good about the Humane Society organizations is that if somebody in another organization has a good idea, they tell you, take it, use it. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using a program from the Burlington Humane Society, and they've changed their name to the Chittenden County Humane Society. And what they do is they have a program called the Guardian Angels program. We're also going to have that program. And what that will do is it will allow members in the community to sponsor a cage for a period of time, either 6 months or a year. All the money that is raised from that will stay here in this shelter specifically for the animals. Anybody who sponsors a cage gets to become part of a very special group called our Guardian Angels. And without the Guardian Angels, with them we're going to have a big success, because we do need funds to get things done for the animals. So we're looking forward to meeting all the Guardian Angels and getting out into the community. You ready to see the dog kennels now?
We're ready to get into the trenches.
All right, come on back.
Calvin's always wanted to get me this way, I can tell. He closed the door on us. We're in, and this does point out that these are rather spacious.
These are really big kennels, and what's really nice about them is what we're excited. We have 10 kennels, and like we said before, this was the old canine security unit, so it is very well built for dogs. What's really nice about them in a shelter situation is that we have no nose-to-nose contact between this dog and another dog. Each dog will be isolated here in its pen. What's going to be really nice, and we'll show you in a few minutes, is that we have a large fenced-in area outside, so everybody's going to be able to get out. We're also going to be working with a group of volunteers, and we're going to call them the Wizards of Oz. What they're going to be doing...
I love it.
Well, what they're going to be doing is they're going to help the dogs become better citizens to be able to survive in a home. We will be teaching them basic household manners, how to sit, how to wait at a door, how to sort of walk on a leash. We're not going to say perfect leash walking, but just kind of have an idea. So those are basic skills that any dog needs to know to survive in a house. And that'll be a group of volunteers called the Wizard of Oz. So anybody wanting to join us is welcome to do that, and they will be assigned a dog to work with them and train them.
Yeah, the nucleus of this entire organization is volunteer help. There aren't very many people who get paid with the Adirondack Humane Society, So it relies on a board of directors who make decisions and volunteer a lot of their time and effort. And the Wizards of Oz. Huh?
The Wizards of Oz, and we are looking for some really special people to do that. We're going to have some neat programs here. We have been telling the community for a lot of years that we are going to be a model animal shelter. We are. We're going to do different things. We're going to promote responsible animal care, and we're going to provide the community with the tools to do that.
Now tell me a little bit about the size of this kennel area, how many you have.
There are 10 kennel runs, so that means that we're going to be able to house approximately 10 dogs. If we have a couple dogs that came in from the same household, they're going to end up in the same cage. Now, with looking at here, it looks kind of small for the dog. It is
think so.
not really that small. They're going to have beds that they're going to be able to lay on, and we also have that big fenced-in area that they're going to go out and be able to run and be dogs. So that will help them stay here longer. Another question that some of your viewers may be wondering is, are we going to be euthanizing here? And the answer is, unfortunately, yes. But the policy is that all animals will stay here as long as they stay in good health, good disposition, and we have room. They'll stay indefinitely. We will promote as best we can to make sure that every animal gets a home. Unfortunately, in this world, due to not spaying and neutering, we have to euthanize because there are too many.
But you know, a lot of areas could do well to look at what you're doing here because you are ahead of the game and not behind. That's because of people like you.
Thank you. We're hoping so, but we're also building a really good relationship with the area shelters because we are in this together. We all have the same mission. It's just we all do it in a little bit different way to get there.
Yeah. I like your philosophy. Are you going to show us outside?
Come on outside. You can even try the agility equipment.
Yeah, I'll do it. Calvin Castine, being Calvin Castine, the first question he asked when we got outside is, why are there birdhouses in the cat room? And you gave us a perfectly plausible answer.
I gave you the right answer. What it is that one of our volunteers builds birdhouses in his spare time, and what he did is he had built us some birdhouses here for the fencing, and everybody that comes, I always tell them that we have birdhouses up and that we actually have a bird nesting in them. Again, it goes back to we're a humane society, and we're trying to teach the community to be humane to everything, including birds. Where we're standing right now is one of my favorite areas, we have a huge fenced-in area. So we're going to be able to let the dogs come out and be dogs, be able to come out and play. We're going to be putting some wading pools in so they can play in the water and go back in wet. We have 2 smaller pens that we're going to be using for exercise. We have it fenced off simply because we want to be able to catch the dogs, and it's real important that when you own an animal in your own home that you have some way to control that animal, either by fence or by a leash or whatever.
And they actually like that too because they're looking for that kind of support.
They do, because it gives them freedom to be dogs. It lets them choose to make decisions to be dogs, but it also gives them the safety to know that they're not going to get hit by a car or something bad is going to happen to them.
Yeah, Calvin's looking at some of the equipment out here that was used before, but you will have some fun with that too, right?
Oh yes, we're looking forward to it. If you look on the right-hand side, we have a bunch of agility equipment. We are going to be running some very basic agility classes here just to let people know what's available and what you can do with your dog. Agility is a new form of, it's an obstacle course for dogs. It not only gets your dog in shape, it gets you in shape. And it just gives you different things to do with your dog. And that's what we want you to do, is have fun with your dog, have fun with your cat.
Now you put an extra fence on the inside here around these 2 newer pens that you have here. Explain again what the purpose of having these small pens is.
The reason why we have 2 smaller pens is that we want to be able to put dogs out and keep them safe from one another. By putting the pens close together, we can socialize the animals so they know that there's other dogs in this world, and that way they know that they can be safe from them but investigate each other without getting in any trouble. The reason why we have the shorter fence out is because if we did get a dog that got loose out here, if he didn't want to be caught, he's not going to be caught. And the thing is that why set him up for failure when we can control the situation and let him have a good time, and still, you know, he'll say, oh, I can still come out and have a good time. And if you have to chase a dog for 20 minutes or a half hour, you get frustrated, and the dogs know that. And we want them to have a good time here.
How are are you going to go about getting the first 10 dogs? That's what I want to know.
What we do is right now we have a companion animal adoption placement program. And what that is that people keep the animals in their own homes until we can find homes for them. Now with the shelter opening, that's going to become our waiting list. The only way that you're going to be able to get into the shelter is to enter that program first. And your name will get put on the list, and once your name comes to the top of the list and we have a cage available, we're going to call you and ask you if you want to bring your animal into the shelter. But even if you decide not to keep it at the shelter, you can still keep it at home, and we're still going to try to help you place it. A couple good reasons for that. One, it allows us to handle more animals, and the second reason is that there's some animals that just can't take the stress of being in a shelter, and by being in their own homes, they will have a better chance of finding a home.
And you know, the Adirondack Humane Society now has a great office in downtown Plattsburgh on Margaret Street.
That's right. We have a main office down on Margaret Street, 14 Margaret Street, and that's basically where our executive director is going to be working out of. It's also going to be like an education center. If you have any questions and you happen to be on Margaret Street, you can stop at the main office and they'll try to help you answer your questions. And while you're right there, you can go right next door to our Cause for Paws thrift shop. And if you need directions out to the shelter, they'll give them to you, and they'll try to help you any way they can.
Well, we mentioned the education as being an important part of this organization. There are lots of brochures and lots of information available right there.
That's right. Boxes upon boxes upon boxes of information in there. Anything you want to know about a companion animal, if we don't have it, we're going to find it for you because we want to help you understand your animal.
Now, what's the phone number at the Adirondack Humane Society?
The main office is 561-7876.
I can't wait to hear those little chirps and barks and meows, and to hear the exclamations of people when they come out here.
I'm hoping you come for the grand opening and you'll be able to see that because we will be open for the public for adoptions, and we're hoping to place a lot of animals that weekend. And if you just have a few minutes and you want to come in and just see the animals need to see people. Even if you're not interested in an animal, you need to come out and see what we're doing, and to come out, and you can even come out and play with some of the animals because they need to see people to survive.
Allison, thanks so much for allowing us here for a minute into your busy life.
You are welcome, and you guys
Back
are
to the
welcome.
scrub brush there.
Yes, we have some scrubbing to do in the kennels on our hands and knees. Would you like to join us?
No, but we'll come back when it's all done and say, oh, isn't that nice?
Yes, come on in and see what we're doing, and you can come in and celebrate with us because we're looking at our grand opening as a celebration.
We'll do it. Thanks a lot.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry the train doesn't quite get to this point yet, but it might get here after a while. And I don't mind saying that I think this hard hat looks a lot better on me than it does on Calvin. You better be really glad that I don't have a little camcorder. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. Brian Rabideau, how are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Now, you work for Roger Kennedy.
Yes, I do.
Well, what's going on here?
What we're doing is going to be a test facility for Bombardier for their subway cars and the trains.
People have seen this project underway, and they didn't know what it was. I see we've got some track down already. Where's it going to?
Well, what that is, that part's the existing track. That's just going to be storage.
Oh,
They have another track that's going to run along the side of it, and that will be the test track itself.
And that will connect down with Bombardier, the present plant? Or?
It connects on the upper end up here. It'll go down through. That's where they crossed. I believe it's 22.
Yep.
Up above, they cross there, and then that's going to go. That goes right over to Bombardier.
Well, we had a lot of people who came into the International Air Show over the recent weekend saw the sign there and saw that there was some activity and weren't quite sure what was going to happen. We have a reference point if you want to see the tower down there. We got a good look at that again during the air show. And over there I see a few flags, so I think we're very close to the golf course.
We're on the golf course, yes, part of it.
But if you're inside this big equipment, you won't have to worry if they holler for, right?
No, you just look out for the clubs when you're walking by.
So how long have you been with this organization?
With Roger Kennedy, I've been with him 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long a project is this?
The drop deadline is October 23rd. And that's when we're to be completed and off-site.
That normally means if you're not done by that time, it costs the contractor some money.
That's correct. That's correct.
So then where are you going after that? Any other big
That
jobs?
I don't know yet. That I'm sure that in the
That's
future
the beauty
it'll
of the
come up.
construction business,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Did you work for somebody else before Roger, or did you?
No, I started with Roger.
Did you?
Yep. I started with Roger, a shovel in my hand, and then worked my way up.
Hey, you lean on that banjo too. I've done that a few times too.
Oh, yeah.
And I might mention right on this facility, but long before you were ever a dream in anybody's eye, pouring cement and helping to build this Plattsburgh Air Force Base back in the middle 50s, and never dreaming that I would still be here, still on the air in 1998, having finished one career and started a few more. So you never know where you're going to go when you get up in the morning, do you?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
And in the construction business, you really don't know either. do
You don't know what you're going to have day to day, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is a big organization. It's been a lot. Roger P. Kennedy has been involved in a lot of the big stuff here in the North Country for many, many years.
Many years. He's been around quite a while. I don't even know really when they were established in the area.
Yeah, a long time. How big a crew do you have working here?
It's just myself. I'm managing the job, and then we have subcontractors that are doing everything else for us in the work.
So you pretty much have to be here almost every day.
Yep, 8 hours a
Make
day.
sure the
or
grades
more.
are right, huh?
Yeah, oh yes. Oh yes, got to check everything.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, Mr. Rabideau, thanks for taking a minute out of your busy day. I hope they didn't screw up while you were up here talking with us.
Oh, no, I doubt it. I can let them breathe at least
You'll
once.
make 'em
once.
tear it out.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you.
See you later.
No problem.
You know, all work and no play makes Johnny a dullard. Whatever a dullard is, I have no idea, but we thought we'd take a little turn off the beaten path in our tour of businesses now occupying the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base and stop at a recreational business which has been very nice around here for a long, long time, known as the Barracks Golf Course, a 9-hole golf course on the property. Today is a beautiful hot day in the middle of July, temperatures in the low 90s, perhaps scorching, record-breaking heat, but it just feels good because, yes, Calvin and I have lived through a lot of winter, so we kind of cherish the warm summer days. Dave Vivian manages the Barracks Golf Course here. It's this piece of property is owned by PARC and is contracted out to them and oversee its operation. I came up here to do a little emceeing for Dave Vivian for a wonderful open house last summer before I got involved with Calvin and started my new job as a victims advocate with the Clinton County Probation Department, and had a great time here raising a little money for charity and talking to people and listening to some fine music and enjoying the meal. But this is not only a very nice golf course, but the view here is spectacular. Almost anywhere you go here in the North Country, the view is spectacular. This gives you a nice perspective of some of the buildings on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, and gives some of our viewers who may not ever have visited the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, or even when it was a military facility, an idea of just how fantastic this property is. We've been saying it's that way for years, and now we're trying to prove it. And hopefully that International Air Show that was held earlier this summer along this tremendous flight line and apron on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base will entice some new people to invest. And it's possible that some of those people north of the border who may be watching this program on one of the many cable systems on which it airs will say, wow, we'd like to move our company to Plattsburgh, USA. How do we do that? And we'll say, hey, you contact the people at PARC, and they'll show you. They'll take you on an even better tour than we were taking on today, and maybe, just maybe, this property could be in your business's future. At the very least, we enjoy showing it to our viewers throughout the North Country to let them know what a tremendous property it is. I always like a little diversion from the beaten path. We went over to the golf course a minute ago. Then we said, oh, let's stop at Turner Precision. Nobody called and said we were coming. Ron Sherman, right?
Ron Stevens.
Stevens, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for allowing us in here today. This is Turner Precision, and I didn't even know you were packed over in this little corner of the base. But you've been here for a while.
Yeah, since just over a year ago here on the base.
But you're part of a group that out of Hemingford, right?
Hemingford Aerospace, yeah. Manufacture aircraft engine parts for Pratt & Whitney of Canada.
How big a crew do you have down here working?
We have 6 people right now. 2 shifts we run.
Tell me what some of this equipment does. This is really fascinating.
Well, we have 3 CNC machines. This is a machining center here. And we have 2 CNC lathes, all computer controlled. Then we have a couple of conventional machines over there to do some manual work. And we have a deburring department over there in the corner.
Amazing how everything's computerized today.
Yeah, it's easy to hold close tolerances and do the manufacturing with the computerized machines.
You brought something in here to show us. What's this?
Well, most of the parts we make is aircraft engine parts or related engine parts. This is the housing for an assembly that we do in Hemingford. And then we have some other parts. This is a thermocouple housing here. That's a reworked part. Some nozzles that we manufacture here. Some lever arms, different levers for controls. And we have some flanges we manufacture, small ones, a little bigger ones. And some bushings for some fuel adapters we make up in Hemingford. They do the assembly up in Hemingford. Some bushings, titanium bushing, and some metering plugs. We have about 35 different part numbers we're making here right now.
You do, really?
Right, and they make it over 300 in Hemingford.
Wow.
Over 300 different part numbers.
When they're for aircraft, they better be right.
That's right. Very tight tolerances. The biggest thing is scratches, break edges, things like that, and handling is a tough part to.
How do you do that without marring it?
We're just very careful in everything we do, and
Very careful.
every step along the way we watch, every step of the process and watch the parts for scratches, nicks and dents from chips and fixturing and things like that.
When you get done with the stuff here, do you ship it back to Hemingford, or do you
we
ship it right?
directly to Hemingford? They either do some final inspection there, but they all special boxing and everything before it goes to Pratt & Whitney, so it's all done there in Hemingford. All our finished products go to Hemingford.
Uh-huh. Where are you originally from, Ron?
Glens Falls.
Oh, really? How did you get hooked up with this organization?
Well, I've worked for, this company was in Glens Falls at one time for 10 years, and I worked for them and then had helped move them up to Canada, and so I've been around a little bit, but I live in Glens Falls still on the weekends.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I'm not moved up here yet.
There must be a better way. Here, that's not that far, but it's still a long commute even on the weekend.
Right, yes, it is a long haul.
Got to do something about that.
We're working on it.
Yeah. How did you get into the business in the first place?
Actually, with this company, when they were in Glens Falls, I got an apprenticeship program. I was going to school nights for machine tool technology, and I got started with this company. It was called RC Machine at that time in Glens Falls.
You know, we've talked to a lot of people about what's going to happen here in the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, and a lot of those jobs that are going to be created here, the perfect example here today with Turner Precision, are going to be jobs in technology.
Absolutely.
So kids better think about that stuff when they go to school.
Right. Very busy right now in this field.
Is it?
Yes. Aircraft especially, very busy. It's growing real fast.
You know,
Increase of engine production, for example, this fall in Pratt is going to be 40% alone coming this fall.
come on.
Yeah, very big, especially in Canada. But the aircraft parts are all, made all across the United States. It's very, very busy right now, aircraft.
Those people in charge of redeveloping this former air base property, and it's an incredible piece of real estate here, they know that these high technology jobs are going to be needed. We've talked about it before, how a lot of the schools are instituting new programs, training young people in technology, and it's been kind of a pleasure to see things like that happen here and to see businesses like yours happen. But it makes the local people, along with the people in charge of redeveloping the base, happy to see that a lot of the little businesses are connected with aircraft.
That's right.
I know they'd like to see a big presence use that runway.
Yeah, well, the big companies are all on big cost reductions and things like that, so a lot of the little companies are doing a lot of the work for the aircraft engine industry.
So what you're telling me is you think you won't be out of a job for a while, right?
No, we're very busy right now. We can't handle all the work we have.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's not a bad bottom line, is it?
No,
Huh?
no, that's right. We're very busy.
So you have how many people working right in here?
6 right now.
But the machines do a lot of it, right?
Right. Right.
You always have to have people. No matter how many machines you have, you got to have people.
Got to have good people. No question about it.
Somebody got to take that part out of the machine and make sure it doesn't get roughed up on the way to
Right. You can't do it without good people. No question about it.
Do you have to yourself examine all the parts that come out of the machines, or how does that work?
Yes, we do. Each operator checks their own parts dimensionally and examines them for any nicks and scratches, and also on final deburr, which Lori over there takes off all the fine break edges and sharp edges and things like that, and she also checks for nicks and dents and scratches before they leave and before she boxes them up to ship them to Hemingford.
There's shop talk for you. Final deburr.
That's right.
I think I can figure out what that means, though.
That's right.
That's
Just cleaning up the part, taking all the sharp edges off his, or material from the holes, around the holes, chamfering the holes, things like that.
And then this little shop is connected with other shops, and other organizations have to supply tools to you, and it's a one big circle, isn't it?
That's right. Tools, materials, as you see there on the floor, bar stock, material for making the parts, material for making fixturing, tooling to cut the parts. Absolutely.
This would be what, a lathe over
A
here?
little conventional lathe, yeah, where we do small little pins or help to make parts for our fixturing, or to do rework actually sometimes too.
How the heck does this computer and this machine know what to make when you put the stock in there?
Oh, it's all programmed for the tools we're going to use and the dimensions it's got to cut and things like that. We have a smart camp system on our computer to do the programming. Some of it's done manually.
It's amazing to me to watch one of these things operate. Do you have a lot of downtime with your machinery? Is that a big problem?
No, all our machine is fairly new. This one's a year old, this one's about 2 years old, that one's 9 years old, but very little downtime.
They pay enough for them in the first place. They better keep going for a long time.
If it's a well-made machine, no, there shouldn't be very much downtime at all.
When you get busy, do you have to work a few extra hours? And
Well, I work extra hours all the time, so it doesn't matter if we're busy or not, but yeah, we work a little extra.
we'll tell your boss you're really doing a good job. But yeah, sometimes, hey, if you got to get the job out.
Absolutely. Pratt schedules changes every day. They have demands that they need parts to put engines together, and they're waiting up there, They'll call our parent company if we need to put something else in this week, and get 100 of this or 50 of that. We do it. We got to jump on it and get it done, plus meet the schedule we already have. So
If you don't do it, somebody else there would just love to get that contract.
absolutely, they're waiting.
Yeah.
Of course, like I said, it's very busy out there, so it's not too bad.
That's great. Well, sounds to me like you're in the right job, and you gave me a good education here today, Ron.
Very good.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming by today.
Back to work.
Yep, thanks.
Behind the camera not too many days ago was a very busy former flight line at Plattsburgh Air Force Base, where an international air show was held. But nestled in a little corner across the road behind things is an organization called Abmast Abrasives Corporation, and we include them in our tour of some of the newer facilities on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base today. I should tell you that none of the higher echelon members of this organization were here today, and the workers who are here were pretty much chicken to go on camera, so we're going to be relegated to at least telling you what this organization does and welcome them to our Plattsburgh area. And as Calvin and I said a few minutes ago, if we had 150 of these businesses that employ 25, 30 people around here, it could make a tremendous future for this base property. Abmast Abrasives Corporation is actually out of St. Hyacinthe, Quebec. Was founded, according to our information, back in 1981. America's leading manufacturer of depressed center grinding and cutoff wheels. They occupy a building here that I wouldn't guess, but the figures we have say amounts to about 25,000 square feet. This is the former TMO facility for those people viewing our program who might have worked here or visited at one time. They have 25 employees. That's why I mentioned 25 employees in my little monologue just a few moments ago. They have expansion plans, they say, that could create 15 jobs by July 1998. Guess what, folks? We're standing here on the 15th day of July, and I want to see 15 more people. Then we have a few people in the windows watching our little program underway now. I suppose some of those people might think I'm Ed McMahon, but Ed McMahon I'm not. I don't represent Publishers Clearinghouse of the New York Lottery, so you're going to have to get back to your machines and make an honest living. But besides St. Hyacinth and Plattsburgh, Abmast maintains a West Coast branch in Mountain View, California, so I would say they got the continent covered pretty well. It's a pleasure being outside the building, and maybe someday they'll invite us inside and have a tour around. Yes, we will return. Well, they don't have a sign for the regular business yet, but they sure are certified ISO 9001 right here. This is the Vapor Group, a Westinghouse air brake company located on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. This were a ball game, we'd be down 2-0, right, Calvin? Because nobody inside would talk to us. The big bosses were away. They were notified that we were coming, but as happens in the world of high finance, they were called away to much bigger and better things. We've been stood up by some pretty decent people over the last few days, but that doesn't bother us at all. We're glad to talk about them. We have met some of the employees. We know their names, but we're not allowed to tell who they are. We even met a Dave Baker here, and don't tell anybody I said that, because he's not among I told him there was a legion of Dave Bakers here in the North Country, and he wasn't sure whether that put him in good company or not, and I told him it was. He's an engineer from down south who was actually born and brought up in upstate New York and Latham, but we learned that this company hires a lot of local people, about 30 of them, and they do a lot to endear themselves to the area by using local businesses and local products. And they listed about 10 or 15 businesses and products that they use in the manufacture of parts here. And I can read from the information that was supplied to us to give you a brief idea that the Vapor Group is a Westinghouse air brake company. It has its home offices in Chicago. Overall, they employ more than 500 people. They maintain a factory up in Montreal with a payroll of 150. This is the former supply building. You might recognize it on Plattsburgh Air Force Base, and they're leasing something like 34,000 square feet here. They are in the process of creating what they hope will end up to be 150 jobs in the manufacture of door and air conditioning systems for rail cars. Another connection with the rail car business. Actually, they do a lot of, we saw some of the pictures on the wall and talked to some of the employees, and they make a lot of pneumatic parts for opening and closing doors in rail cars, and we've seen that already today. But primarily this plant here in the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base will be the manufacture and the construction of air conditioning systems for rail cars. And the air conditioning that they make is anything like the air conditioning in this building. It'll be pretty darn nice when they're finished. I can tell you without revealing any deep secrets that they are planning to expand, because the official information says they are. They've got a beautiful, spanking new interior to this building. Obviously, have spent a lot of time here, have handpicked their local employees, and they want to be here for a long time to come. And you can quote the employees that work here who think they're going to be around for a long time, and there will be considerable expansion before they're finished, and we're proud to have them here. This is the Vapor Group, a Westinghouse air brake company on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. We're inside a large building on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base that's part of TransEd, which our information tells us is moving its corporate headquarters from Pensacola, Florida to Plattsburgh, and we welcome them. They manufacture the wheel assemblies for rail manufacturers such as Bombardier, Kawasaki. The move, it says here, will bring an estimated 60 jobs into the area. They've got contracts good now through the year 2003, with hoping for new contracts with various organizations to go well past that into the next century. And they're involved in a great deal of construction. Right now, we can see in front of us two 20-ton cranes. I'm not bright enough to recognize that, except that it says 20-ton cranes right on them with other smaller things here. From what we understand, they get the parts here and assemble them and move on. They're one of the associated industries connected with rail cars, of which Plattsburgh is getting more familiar all the time. I bet you've learned a lot since you came here, what, about a year and a half ago, JC?
2 years now. Yep.
2 years now? This is quite a project.
It's pretty interesting. We're thankful for Bombardier to bring all these companies down here, and as you can see, we're getting a lot of space rented out.
Well, you know, it's amazing. We knew that was going to happen. When Bombardier came here, we knew their name. We knew they were connected with a huge bus company called the Nova Bus Company, and we were hoping at one point to get tremendous bus manufacturing facility on Plattsburgh Air Force Base. That didn't happen, but they do a lot of work up north in Montreal, and having these smaller organizations down here supporting Bombardier and all the other big contractors for rail cars is very big business, and we're glad to have them in town. Huh?
Combined brings a lot of people and a lot of money to the area.
Yeah, and hopefully most of the places you've seen today and some that you will see as we wrap up our program in a little while are planning expansions. They start relatively small, rent or lease a certain facility here in Plattsburgh Air Force Base and plan to expand. This particular company is moving its headquarters up here, so I guess they plan to be around here for a long time to come, and we welcome them here. This organization, once again, is called TransEd. Well, we're inside the Wood Group. Bob Kasjak, how are you?
Fine.
Did I get the name right?
Yes.
Oh, terrific. I didn't come into this place when I heard you were coming here, but it was exciting for me. Calvin said they did take a tour, as the other media did way back when. When was that, when you first opened up?
That was back in July and August of '96.
This is exciting for young and old because this is the place where the engines are tested, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me exactly what happens here.
Well, our parent company in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, rebuilds the engines. They send them to us. We test them just as they would on the. They'd run on just as they would on the wing of an aircraft, and they're tested for everything from pressure, speeds, temperatures, and to ensure that they conform to what the manuals call for, the manufacturer's manuals.
Now, is this always after repair, or do they have to be tested at certain intervals, or how does that work?
Not only after repair. As a matter of fact, the engine that we're going to test today just came off of the wing, and it's getting tested before rework to see what's possibly wrong with it, stuff that they can't find on the wing of the aircraft in particular.
What is the process involved, the testing?
It's a full test of, it tests basically every single thing in the engine possible within reason. Like I said, everything from to make sure the engine isn't over speeding or over temperature, doesn't have too high or lower pressures in certain parts of the engine, and to ensure that it meets a certain power rating requirement and fuel usage, everything.
Is it all computer operated? How does it work?
Yes, mostly all of it's computer. All the data is collected through the computer. It just takes in all the raw signals, puts it into a digital signal, and sends it into the computers, and we can capture any of the data at any point, and we can plot it on graphs, and we give all that directly to our customer.
How do the engines get here?
They get sent from our parent company in Connecticut by truck within the company.
And do you test engines just about every day, or?
Pretty much every day, and we also test industrial gas turbines, which are used for pumping natural gas, generating electricity, pumping crude oil, just about everything. And they're just they're very similar to an aircraft-style engine. A lot of them are older model aircraft engines.
So you're telling me you can test various size engines, various kinds of engines?
Yes, we currently test 5 different engines, 2 different industrials, and 3 different flight engines.
Oh, I haven't looked in there. How do you set it up when you get it in here?
It's just lifted right out of the stand that it comes in by 2 hoists, and it's pinned to what's called the strong back, and then the strong back is adapted to a thrust frame, which is where it will hang for the run, and that measures the load that the engine could produce and the power it generates, etc.
So does the computer check on, oh, you're looking at, yeah, right here? Yeah, we'll go inside and take a look at it, but Do you hook up sensors to the engine, or how does all this
Oh,
test?
yes. Everything's from hoses that will measure all sorts of pressures, electrical leads that will measure temperatures, speeds, vibration if the engine has an out of balance condition, and we could correct a lot of the any faults that the engine has, which is pretty much what we're here for, to make sure that the engine, when it goes onto the wing, is safe and runs the way it should.
I imagine it's pretty loud once it gets cranking. I think you guys were actually testing an engine during the air show, right?
Yes, we were. I think we had a lot of people wondering what we were doing, but yes, that was us.
If you added sound effects, we don't mind. But you got to do what you got to do, right?
Exactly.
How many would you do in the course of a year, do you think?
Last year we did 52 flight, 29 industrial, a total of about 100 tests. This year we've already done well over that. So in this next calendar year we could do well over 160, 180 tests.
Very important part of the aircraft industry, I would say.
Yes, very. They keep us busy, that's for sure.
Let's start with your background. How did you get started with this? Where you're from and all that good stuff?
Originally from northeastern Pennsylvania. I was stationed here from 1984 to 95.
Stationed here?
Yes, and now I call it home.
Isn't that amazing? So you actually came here on purpose?
Yes, by choice, and love it up here.
Well, what did you do in the Air Force?
Same exact thing, test aircraft engines. So it worked out well.
A little different ball game when you're working on the civilian side, isn't it?
It is. Money is a big factor. The government has a lot of money, so when you do it for the military, your resources really aren't limited. In the civilian world, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. So the military had a big gray area. If there's anything in doubt, it wasn't good. In the civilian world, everything is very detailed, and money is a big factor.
The Air Force training you got was essential for your career here.
Yes,
right?
yes, it worked out and carried right over 100%. The engines are extremely similar, very similar, almost identical.
Is that what this was before, a test facility?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
why the Wood Group moved right in here, huh?
Yes, it worked out really well for us. We did a lot of work to the building itself, but most of it was modifications. The building itself was in very good condition, and the park treats us really well. So it was a win-win
It's kind of
situation.
neat for you to come back up here. Do you live right? Did you buy a house here?
Yeah,
What are
it's
you
right
doing?
down in the Peru area.
So you were very familiar with this place. Things have
yes.
changed since the 80s a little bit.
Quite a bit, yes.
And,
But,
as a matter of fact, without the Air Force presence here in any real way anymore, things have changed a lot right on this ground, haven't they?
oh, yes, they have. It's pretty quiet out here now, except for when we're running, I guess.
Did you make you feel a little different to see all those planes landing and taking off over the weekend?
It did. I saw a lot of old faces, some people that were stationed here at one
So
time.
did I loved it.
That was pretty neat. It's nice to see those people again.
Yeah, that's great. Well, take us inside, and we'll take a look at what that looks like, okay, Bob? Okay, we're on the inside, as the Carnival Barker would say. This is an aircraft engine, right, Bob?
Yes, this is a Pratt & Whitney JT3D-7. It's a aircraft engine off of cargo carriers. It's a very popular engine. It's still used quite frequently. This is probably one of the higher power thrust engines that we do run. This runs close to about 20,000 pounds of thrust. It will hang from that whole white structure up here in the blue structure, and that's where it will stay, just like it is hung on the wing of an aircraft. And we can read everything that the aircraft can read as far as measurements, and even more so, actually.
The building starts to move, you know you got too much power going. We were just looking at the construction of this building on the way in here. It's not only strong, but it's got to be pretty well soundproof too, right?
It is. There's the air enters the top of the building behind us, and it goes through a lot of acoustical baffles to silence the scream of the inlet. All the exhaust is collected through what we call the exhaust collector, and it takes a 90-degree turn upward through what we call the exhaust basket, and has a lot of acoustical baffles through that. And no matter how good they are, they still these engines still produce a lot of noise, but not near as much as if it was on the wing of a jet.
Well, that's true, and you mentioned that the glass in those windows over there is bulletproof. Not that you ever expect any parts to come off the engine, but you have to be safe.
Yes, that's true. When the military had it here, the engines did come apart a few times, but then again, that's exactly what we're here for, to make sure that if it does happen anywhere, it would happen here in a test bed and not on the wing of a jet. But it could make a mess if it does come apart, but everything. The building will contain anything, and there's a very heavy fire suppression system in here that would flood the bay, etc. So nothing should really go wrong. If it does, we got it under control.
The whole place must just seem like home to you.
It is. It's kind of like being right back in the military in a roundabout sense. Everything's very much the same, and feels like I really never left it in a roundabout sense.
Great, so that's got to feel good. I know the Wood Group's going to be here for a long time to come. How many people work with you here, did you say?
We have 4 here at the test cell, soon to be 5, and we have 4 inspectors at another building that primarily inspect aircraft engine parts and whole engines at times.
So after you finish testing this engine completely and collected all the data, then it moves back. It moves back to where?
Back to East Windsor, Connecticut.
That's where the
Wood Group Aero, where the parent company is. They'll dress the engine for flight and send it out onto the wing of an aircraft, where their field service team will reinstall it and send it on its way.
I don't know why, but when you started mentioning numbers about how many engines you're planning to test in a given year, that sounds like quite a few, considering how much time it's got to take to set up each one.
Yes, these engines in particular take the longest out of all the models that we do. This could be anywhere from 4 to 5 hours to install it, about 2 hours worth of running, and another 3 to 4 hours to take it down. So it is a lot of work. It's a full day to do one engine easily.
Get it in and get it out. That's what makes the company the big bucks, right, Bob?
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today. Good luck with everything you do.
Thanks a lot.
You know, it's kind of amazing. Things look so much the same from this main gate entrance to the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, and then you look in the windows and everything seems empty. For all the things we have visited today, and we visited only a small portion of the various businesses that are now located on Plattsburgh Air Force Base, there has to be somebody in charge of security, and the Burns organization is left with that major task. And my friend Bob Berg is here. Hiya, Robert.
Hi, how's it going, Gordy?
I can't remember the first time I ever saw you. It was probably at some fire somewhere.
No, actually it was at the beach with the bubble machine. Remember that, Gordy?
Oh my God.
Did we go back
He's
or what?
going back to the bubble machine, that whatever year it was, Chevy Greenbrier that we had. And we're both a little thinner and a lot younger, right?
Oh, then, yes, definitely. You were a nice skinny guy in that bubble machine.
Yeah, I was never too nice, but I certainly was thinner than I am now. So what do you do up here, Bob?
Well, we try to keep the facility as safe as we can, monitor traffic coming in and out. We have a touch tofu system where we are supposed to go and physically check the building that has a touch tofu system on it to ensure that the building is secure, that there are no open windows, no broken doors or storm damage or vandalism or any of that sort of thing.
And it's worked quite well.
Oh, it has. We've had an awful time here during the ice storm, of course. No power.
Everybody had an awful time.
Like anybody else, we didn't have any power. But you know, it's been quite an experience. I used to work here as a civilian employee, as you know, and ended up having to retire because the base was leaving me, and now I'm back here again, and I can't seem to get enough of the place, I guess.
You aren't the only one. We've just talked to a gentleman, Bob, at that engine test facility out there for the Wood Group, stationed here with the United States Air Force in the 80s, got his education through that organization, and is back here testing engines again. Yeah. We just looked at an engine out there, by the way, that was ready to be tested. Maybe that's what all those sirens are going off for. We knew that they were going to be. We knew that that engine was being tested right around 4 o'clock, he said, which was 2 minutes ago. But he said that one engine would have been enough to power the entire residential area of Plattsburgh, that big aircraft jet engine he had. That's amazing.
Could we have used that in January? Yeah, several times over.
Where were you when we needed you? How many people work with you for Burns out here? Do you know, Bob?
Oh, God, I don't know. We got a list of probably 40 people, 45 people that are working for Burns, not only just here, but on other sites. We have 3 or 4 other sites that we are providing protection for also.
Okay, you got to go and talk to some people. Oh, he's somebody.
My young man over there.
He's waving at him, and you're supposed to be home. What time do you get off today?
Oh, I just got started, Gordy. Gosh, I've only got an hour in, man. I've got 7 more to go.
I was Try and send you home for at least for supper already.
Oh well, no. Once I leave here, I've got other things to do, but that's personal. So.
But a lot of the job that the Burns people do is patrolling, checking buildings out and things.
Right. We have on our shift here now. We have 3 people working right now. There's 1 person here at the gate, and I've got 2 other patrols. One of the patrols is doing the touch toco system, like I explained earlier, and the other patrol is patrolling both sides of the facility to make sure that we don't have lost visitors, that we don't have, the trespassers or whatever, ensuring that people are safe as they can be.
It's amazing because there are people who are viewing this program who live in Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties here in northern New York and might think nothing is happening on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. There's been quite a bit of traffic just since we've been here. So quite a few people work on this base now. Not just the Burns people, but a lot of other people as well.
Well, it's funny. Like when I first started here a couple of years ago, there was very little traffic and very few people working. Now we've got, I think it's probably 8 or 10 tenant units on site right now, and they're keeping us going. They really are. The air show obviously did a number on us.
Were you kidding? Did you work the whole weekend?
Did I work the whole weekend? 16 hours a day, is that enough for you?
You really?
Not
very interesting.
But we have people that did work 16 hours a day. I didn't personally, but we did have people working 16 hours shifts, and it was quite a trip. We did well with it. We had a good time.
We hope they do it again and expand it even more the next year, because it was great. We, as Bob, the gentleman who was testing the engine, said, it was great to meet people who used to be stationed on the base that came back to see what was happening.
Well, you mentioned that. We have a 10 code on the site that we call for people who have been stationed here that just want to come back and see the site. And we give them, a little direction as to where they can go, what they can do. And when they come on site, we call the patrols and let them know we got these people on site visiting their old homes and so on and so forth. It's something I like to do because I get to see some people I haven't seen in a long time too.
Nostalgia for you, a lot of nostalgia for me.
Yeah. Well, I put 25 years out here. I think that's going to be enough nostalgia for both of us.
Yeah, if you go back to the days when we had the bubble machine on the beach, you are old, Berg. I didn't realize you.
Well, you didn't think I was as old as you, huh?
One of the old timers, but don't mess with him. He still got it, boy.
Well, we try. I've been on this site here for, like I say, about 2 years now, 2.5 years, and I've seen a lot of business come on site, and I want to see a lot more.
Yeah, as do we all. Bob, thanks a lot. You've been a good friend for a long time.
If
I ever get another bubble machine, I'll let you know.
Hey, there you go. We'll work on it together.
Great. I'm going to walk around the car for a minute because I want to thank JC for his time, and what a tour guide you've been today.
I try.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun to meet some people. He blames himself because some of the big bosses weren't at home today. Not a problem for us. You give us 2 words and we'll turn it into 5,000 with no problem at all. But it's been a good experience.
I'll see if I can track them down for you later and tie them to a tree or something so they don't leave next time you come back.
Do it another time. So I want to know what's in your personal future. Got a couple more years of school, then what?
Maybe graduate school or working somewhere. I'm not sure yet.
I'm sure he wants to be an attorney in Champlain, right?
No.
Oh, no?
No. Not following that one.
Not a chip off the old block, huh?
No, I go insane trying to be an attorney.
What would you like to do, ideally? What are your dreams?
Something to do with biology. I'm in biology at McGill, so what I do here has nothing to do with what I do at college, but it's nice to get away.
Have you ever thought about marine biology?
I did. I took some courses in it, but I think I'm leaning more towards anatomy and cell biology right now.
That's great. You think you'll do your graduate work right there at McGill?
Probably. It's
can't pick a better place.
No, it's that and a lot cheaper than colleges down here would be.
If you want to see what happens when a local boy decides to go out in the world and do something, this is a perfect example. You've been a charming host, a knowledgeable host, and being put on the spot like this is not necessarily easy, but We're just hometown people at Hometown Cable, and it's been a lot of fun. I wish you the best of luck in everything you do, Jason.
Thank you very much, and I hope you have lots of luck with this.
We certainly will, and this has been a little tour of the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base today. Something 24 hours ago we didn't even know we were going to do, and look how great it turned out. Warmest day of 1998, perhaps the warmest day since 1994. It's been fun for all of us, and I still feel badly that we didn't show Calvin's shorts. Maybe on another program. Everybody has to have something to look forward to. You never know where we're going to be next time for our